Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. Parental rights and LGBTQ groups clashed in downtown LA. The Dueling rally sparked over transgender-related policies in schools. LA plans to turn a hotel into housing for the city's homeless. But critics say the move lacks accountability. Thieves targeted 6 taco trucks across LA. Police have arrested 1 suspect so far. 2 people were detained as dual rallies sparked in downtown Los Angeles. Parental rights and LGBTQ groups clashed over policies that would require schools to notify parents if their children identify as transgender. NTD's Christina Corona has more.
Around 200 people marched through downtown Los Angeles on Tuesday to express their opposition with what they believe is the wrong influence, sexualization, or grooming of kids in schools. They organized a parental rights march through Instagram at Leave Our Kids Alone, supporting certain school district policies. These policies mandate schools to inform parents if their children identify as transgender or seek to adopt a gender different from their assigned birth gender. The group gathered outside Los Angeles City Hall and marched to the Los Angeles Unified School District headquarters located at 3rd Street and Beaudry Avenue. Some protesters sat down in the street, leading the police to declare an unlawful assembly. Meanwhile, a smaller group of counter-protesters, some holding pride flags, formed. LAPD set up lines to separate the 2 groups. According to reports from the scene, police attempted to push the counter-protesters back, but 2 people allegedly resisted and were taken into custody. Critics like Ground Game LA and Queer Nation Los Angeles accused Leave Our Kids Alone of spreading hate and fear. The Leave Our Kids Alone members had American flags and signs saying "Parental rights matter" and "Teach the Bible, not porn." State Attorney General Rob Bonta said he is investigating if the Chino Valley Unified School District had violated civil rights of students by adopting a parental notification law earlier this year. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
A hotel in Los Angeles is going to be turned into an affordable housing site for the homeless. Critics say there needs to be accountability and a policy in place to ensure the direction leads to its goal.
The Los Angeles City Council voted 12-2 on Friday to buy the Mayfair Hotel in Los Angeles Westlake neighborhood and convert it into housing for the homeless.
I'm introducing an additional amendment to this report, which will add instructions to ensure that when the encampment resolution grant expires or funding is expended, beds at the Mayfair will be able to be used to provide housing for unhoused residents in CD1.
Supporters of the ordinance said it is important for people experiencing homelessness who may need transitional housing.
I care for it because it helps the people transition from the hospital, not to the street. Now, if it's going to be a homeless encampment, it needs to serve your community the way it should. 3/4 of those people should be invested in your District 1. It should be that way or no way at all.
Those who voted against the ordinance said there needs to be a policy in place first.
We have a couple of dozen amendments, several reports back, on a project which will be a dramatic change in policy, a monumental and important change in policy, a change in policy that we should make, but we should have a policy when we make it. And we do not have a policy.
I made a promise to my community that said, I will make sure that the operations are right and that you're not exposed and that the kids of our neighborhoods are not exposed to this. That's why I created the Good Neighbor policy. It's why I suggested having a hotline to provide residents the opportunity to call and report so that we don't just have a trust us environment. We have to have accountability.
During the pandemic, the hotel acted as a temporary shelter under Project Roomkey. Locals have said they felt unsafe as the homeless openly used drugs and had behavioral issues. Mayor Karen Bass has been a strong advocate of the project, saying it would cost less in the long run. It would cost about $60 million to buy it and $23 million to renovate it, bringing it to a total of $83 million. The purchase is part of a larger goal to move people off the streets and into temporary or permanent affordable housing.
Thieves are now targeting taco trucks in Southern California. Police say they have made one arrest in connection to a string of robberies. NTD's Stephanie Sikal hears more from a taco truck worker.
Crime in Los Angeles doesn't seem to slow down anytime soon. From mobs of robbers swarming malls and jewelry stores to taco stand robberies. Here's the latest news on what authorities have done so far to combat this crime wave.
3 people wearing black attire displayed firearms and in one instance a knife as they demanded money from vendors in Echo Park, downtown Los Angeles, and East Hollywood on August 16. The individuals proceeded to search the victims' pockets, take tip jars, and escape in a white Honda Civic. The Los Angeles Police Department revealed on Friday that Stayshawn Stevens has been apprehended by officers in relation to these incidents. Stevens' arrest comes one day after a series of suspected robberies targeted 6 taco stands across the Los Angeles region. Authorities suspect that the same group of individuals is behind these incidents. These series of criminal activities occurred on Wednesday from 9:40 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. The locations where food vendors were targeted include 5,900 block of Santa Monica Boulevard, 6,200 block of Hollywood Boulevard, 300 block of South Big Sur Avenue, 600 block of South Union Avenue, 1,500 block of North Alvarado Boulevard, and 900 block of South Broadway. People who were there described how the criminals showed weapons, scared them, and escaped with more than $600. We spoke to Jose Gonzalez, a taco truck worker, who described how scary this was for him.
Well, that day we were about to pick up everything and leave. Suddenly a car came to stop in front of the truck, and after that 2 guys got out. One of them assaulted one of my colleagues. Then he began to tell us that if we didn't give him the money, that he was going to shoot us. So we started giving him our things. After we gave them what was left of the sale, they beat my partner. They beat me here in this part.
He also gave advice on what to do if other vendors encountered these situations.
I recommend that they have a place where there is a lot of lighting, mainly that it is not too isolated and dark, because that is what they are looking for. And make sure that they have their security cameras too, and not try to resist, because sometimes that is worse.
Law enforcement officials have highlighted the consistent involvement of at least 3 suspects in each robbery. These individuals were observed fleeing the scenes in a white Honda Civic on every occasion. Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon said, quote, "This ongoing violence targeting street vendors will not be tolerated. I thank the Los Angeles Police Department for the quick action in this case. We will continue to hold those who cause harm accountable." Robbery charges have been filed against Stevens, who is currently in custody with bail set at $1.3 million. The authorities have refrained from detailing the specific role that Stevens assumed during the course of the crime spree. Anyone with information regarding this case is asked to call Detective Lisette Garcia at 213-486-6833 or Detective Flores at 213-486-6840. The public can also call LAPD at 1-877-527-3247.
These string of crimes have terrorized these employees, and many taco stands are wondering who will be targeted next. But the police are showing that they're determined to stop the planned crime spree and bring justice. Stephanie Sikal, NTD News, Los Angeles.
In Southern California, thieves run rampant as several retailers were targeted in the past week. Everything from purses to shoes to wigs are being targeted.
The Riverside Police Department released 2 videos of groups of thieves robbing the Nordstrom rack in the Canyon Springs Shopping Center. One video was taken on July 10th, and the other was taken on August 14th. According to the police, thefts at the store have increased in the past couple months, where several $1,000s worth of designer handbags were stolen by different groups of suspects. In Arcadia, 5 people were caught on video shoplifting on Tuesday from a Dior stand at a Macy's in the Santa Anita Mall. With their faces covered, the suspects stuffed stolen goods in trash bags before making their exit. In Mid-City West Los Angeles on Monday, employees from Foot Locker attempted to prevent suspects from escaping with the store's merchandise. As the thieves loaded everything in the car, an employee could be seen hanging on the driver's door before the driver accelerated to shake the employee free. In Beverly Hills on Tuesday, thieves smashed their way into a wig salon that provides for cancer patients. The store was ransacked for a few minutes before they took off. The salon informed NTD that they are missing over 60 pieces, but they are still counting. Each can range between $2,000 to $4,000. The wigs are made to look and feel natural for their clients. And on Friday, a group of suspects ran out with 10 Chanel bags from a Saks Fifth Avenue in Beverly Hills.
We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. San Francisco allows non-U.S. citizen voting in school board elections, but some prosecutors say the move is unconstitutional. The recall effort against the Alameda County DA Pamela Price moves forward. A committee member shares more on the recall details. Families of U.S. service members killed in Afghanistan share their stories. The parents call the 2021 withdrawal plan flawed. More on those stories coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Zhang. Non-U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in San Francisco's school board elections. Some prosecutors say it's unconstitutional and brought it to state court. But Court of Appeals let the voting program continue. Let's take it to NTD's David Lamb for more.
Thanks, David. Now, California's Court of Appeal recently upheld San Francisco's voting program for non-citizens for charter cities to serve local needs. Now, the lawyer who filed a lawsuit against SF said, quote, "From the beginning of the California Constitution, only citizens have been allowed to vote." Attorney James Lacey told our sister media, The Epic Times, in August that the Superior Court judge in San Francisco agreed with his team. Lacey said, "But the Court of Appeal is stretching what seems to be the plain meaning of the Constitution to accommodate non-citizen voting in school board elections where a charter city adopts it." He said non-citizen voting is explicitly not allowed in federal elections under the U.S. Constitution, though people can change things in California for state and local elections. Since 2018, San Francisco has allowed all parents the ability to vote for members of the SF Board of Education, even parents who are not citizens. Requirements are that they must be an SF resident, 18 or older, not in prison, and either a parent, legal guardian, or caretaker for a child under 19 years old that is living in San Francisco. In this case, Lacey also said Chinese consulate diplomatic staff members, who may even be members of the Chinese Communist Party, could be qualified voters. Lacey said there's a new argument to be made in federal court that non-citizen voting is discriminating because it dilutes voting power for citizens, pointing to concerns for Black voters who fought for voting rights for decades. As far as next steps, the lawyer said his team will sue any city that tries to impose non-citizen voting in California and may take it to a federal level next time. David, back to you.
A recall committee is gathering signatures to remove a district attorney in California. That is Alameda County's Pamela Price, who oversees Oakland, which is facing a surge in violent crime, homicides, and burglaries. NTD's Jack Bradley has the details.
An effort to recall Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price is moving forward. Last year, there was a successful recall of San Francisco DA Chesa Boudin. Could Price be next? Brenda Grisham says she is certain it will. Grisham is part of a committee to recall Price known as Save Alameda for Everyone. She is also the mother of Christopher Lavelle Jones, who in 2010 was shot and killed in front of their family home in Oakland.
I am an advocate here in the city of Oakland, in Alameda County. It's just not Oakland. And there are a lot of things going on that are increasing the crime. If she was a little bit harder on sentencing, I think that our crime levels would, be a little less. we have always had crime, but it's never been to this magnitude. The DA should be doing a lot more than she's doing now. And it's affecting everything. You know, people feel that there's going to be no retribution, so they could just do whatever they want to. And that's not fair to the citizens of Alameda County.
One of the most notable cases involved in the recall is that of the death of 2-year-old Jasper Wu. In 2021, this toddler was killed by a stray bullet when him and his family were driving on the freeway in Oakland. Price dropped the special circumstances charges filed against the 2 suspects involved, which means that they will no longer face life without parole if convicted.
We want the sentencing to match the crime. That's our main problem. That baby was 2 years old. He had nothing to do with anything. And, you know, his life should mean something to somebody. So it means something to us. And we just want her to do what's right for all of the victims, you know, including the young. We've had a few young people that have been killed, you know, gang retaliation, whatever. And we just want it to be fair across the board. If you do the crime, you need to do the time that matches the crime. Well, if the criminals are not serving the time that is due them, that's a problem. You know, there's been a lot of people let out that probably should still be in jail, in prison. So, you know, it's kind of hard to navigate and adjust to things if you don't know what's going on. So we're short on police. Everybody knows that. You know, our police are overworked. So we just, you know, it's a catch-22.
Do you have any specific instances that come to mind of where she's not been hard on crime, tough on crime?
I have a parent that was just with us this weekend. His name was Javille. His family, Miss Harris, was with us at a rally that we had. Her son was killed in 2021 by a young man they were at a party, and the young man was just shooting a gun. And, you know, the patrons at the party were telling him to stop shooting. And so he pointed the gun at her son's face, and the gun went off and killed him. I was told by the family when I met with them, and, you know, I looked up the story, the boy dragged his body to the door to try to discard it. And the patrons of the party, you know, called 911. He was in jail until about a week ago. She deemed it an accident and gave him time served. So he might have been in jail for 2 years. And the family didn't know. They found out afterwards. And she brought letters to our press conference, the letter from DA Price that told her family she didn't have time to meet with them. The families have already been affected. The family should be important, and they're just not. You can't undo what's done. And if you're in the path right now of not answering the calls after the parents, after you left their killers out and they didn't know anything about it, because the law says, Marcy's law says that the families are supposed to be notified, not after the people are on the street. And then they get messages that I don't have time to talk to you. That's not fair. And there are a lot of them out there.
Grisham says the recall committee has been mischaracterized as being misinformed and racially motivated.
When we first started, it was said that it's a racist campaign. It's a racist recall. I'm a figurehead. I'm an insurgent taking a page from January 6th. You know, just that I'm misinformed. But I've been dealing with families for 12 years. I'm not misinformed. When they call me, I'm informed. You know, and it's not just that, it's the victims. I have victims that call me all the time for different crimes that are going on. They're getting carjacked right outside my business. We've had drive-bys. You know, people are getting shot, people are getting murdered. So it's not being misinformed. I'm looking right at what's going on. And that was, you know, put out by the Price campaign early on.
The recall committee has about 160 days to collect about 90,000 signatures to trigger a recall election.
Pamela Price's office told NTD in an email, quote, "The backlash against progressive prosecutors is part of a political tactic designed to distract from the real, more complex drivers of crime in the U.S. Pamela Price is committed to public safety and is committed to the well-being of the AAPI community and all communities in Alameda County." Multiple families of the U.S. service members killed in Afghanistan have publicly denounced the Biden administration's withdrawal from the country. In a recent hearing, family members say the evacuation plan was flawed and that there has been no accountability.
The families of U.S. service members killed in the suicide bombing at Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul in the final days of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan have angrily denounced the Biden administration. On August 26, 2021, the suicide bombing killed 13 American service members and wounded 18, along with 169 Afghan civilians killed and at least 150 wounded. And during an August 7th hearing, family members decried the lack of accountability of the flawed evacuation plan.
I'm going to be brave and tell you about my kid. He's an amazing kid, and I want you to know that I'm not a victim. We're not victims. We're parents to some mighty heroes.
Kelly Barnett, the mother of Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover, was the first to speak at the first public forum on the Afghan pullout and suicide bombing. The hearing was organized by Republican Representative Darrell Issa in Escondido. Gold Star families, which are the close relatives of U.S. military members who died in combat or combat operations, testified on the events of that day.
His concern began the moment that he landed and saw what he saw. His words were chaos, no communication, lack of leadership. He said he'd never seen anything like it. And like I said, he was in Afghanistan 2 times before. He told me, Mom, I now know that the command cares nothing for us. My son, these 12 others left this earth thinking that their command cared nothing for them. The wounded feel that their command felt nothing for them. The survivors felt that their command felt nothing for them. I feel this as well.
Struggling to compose herself, Ms. Barnett spoke to what she saw as the government's indifference toward those who died and their families. She says, quote, "We were told lies, given incomplete reports, incorrect reports. I was lied to and basically told to shut up."
This didn't need to happen in the manner that it did. And for those who had power over our military, know that they made a conscious decision that led to the chaotic and frantic withdrawal from Afghanistan. For the Secretary of Defense, General Austin, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, to say that they're satisfied with the withdrawal of our troops is nothing short of disgusting and ignorant. Retired Marine Corps General McKenzie can be included in this as well, as these were his Marines.
Mr. Hoover, father of Staff Sergeant Hoover, says the Biden administration failed his son. He demands that Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, General Milley, General McKenzie, and Marine Lieutenant Colonel Brad Whited need to own up to their mistakes, and that Mr. Blinken, Mr. Austin, and Mr. Milley should, quote, resign immediately. The Epic Times reached out to the Pentagon and State Department for comment.
All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You will find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjin World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share a news tip or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.